Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. So behind me we get to take a look at the 2022 Cadillac XT4 all-wheel drive Sport. This model is finished off in stellar black metallic with an MSRP just over $56,000. And we'll start off today's review with what powers this Cadillac. Underneath the hood is the 2-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. This is paired to the 9-speed automatic transmission, and it pumps out 235 horsepower around 5,000 RPM and 258 pound-feet of torque as low as 1,500 RPM. That power can be sent to all 4 wheels, however it can be 2-wheel drive biased in certain drive modes. It weighs in right around 3,900 pounds. It'll do 0 to 60 in just under 8 seconds with a top speed of 137 miles an hour, and it has a fuel capacity of 16.3 gallons. You'll expect to see around 22 miles per gallon in the city and 29 out on the highway. This has a wheelbase of 109.4 inches. Its overall length is 181.1. It has a width of 76.7 and a height of 64.1 inches. As we move on to the exterior styling now for this all-new XT4, let's start off with the Cadillac badge front and center. This has a nicely positioned forward-facing camera just underneath that, and plenty of cutouts in that gloss black mesh to provide a lot of cooling to this engine. The entire surround is finished off in chrome, which matches nicely with this exterior black. Now there's some plastic trim pieces for the lower section of the bumper, all the parking sensors, a lot more cutouts, even some more body colored trim just to break that up a little bit. And then on both sides is the LED headlights, DRLs, and turn signals. And I love the split design for this housing. So obviously the headlight and the high beam is in the upper section, and this entire vertical piece is the DRL and the turn signal, which is very classic for Cadillac models. There's a black trim piece just underneath that as well, just to tie it in. And then as you can tell with the hood, very nice bulge running right down the middle. There's even a line right in the middle of the hood that matches nicely with the line right in the middle of the Cadillac badge. So it goes all the way down and continues its way right through the middle, and even in the lower section you can see that point, which is a nice subtle design to see. Now as we move on to the side, this model has a really nice set of these gloss black wheels. They measure 20 inches with a multi-spoke design. Now the power folding side mirrors are finished off in black. They feature the integrated turn signal, even a camera underneath them as part of that 3D camera system. This has a full moonroof. The roof rails are blacked out, as well as all the window trim. Even the lower trim and the side skirt is all blacked out. There's a chrome button on the door handles, however. That's how you can lock and unlock the front and rear doors. And it has a nice side design to it. The fender flares are finished off in more of that plastic trim to tie in with the front bumper and the lower section of the door. And I love the rake of the rear glass. The bodywork just above it ties in nicely with those LED taillights. And as we move on to the rear, this does have a body colored spoiler. The integrated third brake light is right in the middle, as well as the camera for the rear view mirror, which I'll show here later. The wiper blade is nicely tucked up there too, so that way the driver has plenty of visibility out of that rear glass. Like I mentioned, this has the LED taillights, which have a pretty big design to them. There's even part of it that goes into that power liftgate. Right in the middle is the backup camera. This has all the parking sensors, the dual exhaust on both sides, more of that plastic trim with the reflectors, even some more bodywork surrounding the exhaust. And this even has a towing capacity right around 3,500 pounds. So you could use this to hook up some smaller trailers. Pretty adequate if this is your only vehicle and you need to tow. So with the exterior wrapped up for this all-new XT4, let's make our way to the rear cargo. You can use the button located near that backup camera, or double tap the button on the key fob. It will automatically open up. And with the back seats up, there's definitely a lot of room. A nice flat surface with some tie-down hooks, so that way you can safely secure any items. There's some dome lights too. As you can tell, this particular model has this cover, which you can remove. Once you remove that and fold the back seats down, you have a lot more interior storage, making this a very practical vehicle. And then up underneath the floor, if I open this up, you do have room where you could put a spare tire if you needed it, or you could use this for additional hidden storage space if you needed to. So that again adds to the practicality. Now for the power liftgate, there is a button up top where I can push on that and it will automatically close. This XT4 also has a remote start. So in order to activate that, I do need to lock the vehicle. And then if I hold on this button, it will start up, which is again another cool feature to have. You can also hold on that button if you would like to shut it off for whatever reason. And with the vehicle still locked, the back door handles can actually lock and unlock the vehicle just by pushing on that button. And then with the door panel, this has a great tannish interior to it. With the exterior black, it's a great combo. Now the door panel has leather, more of that tan stitching. There's some brush trim on the release handle, the window control, even more brush trim surrounding that. There's a little bit of storage space down in the lower section of the door, and this even has a 7-speaker audio sound system. There's even some wood trim too right in the middle, which is a nice touch. And at 5'10", I can work my way into these back seats, which are of course finished off in leather. Really nice design. Now the door sill is low, so it's easy to get in and out. I do have the front seat set at my height, which is 5'10", a little bit of space for my knees and my feet. And then for my head, I am kind of right up against the headliner. So if you're any taller than me, might be a little bit uncomfortable, but it is doable for normal size or full size adults. And then right in the middle, we do have the armrest that has 2 cup holders if you need to use those. Right in the middle, there are 2 air vents as well as some auxiliaries, so you can charge electronics. There's even heated seat controls that you can use for both of the outer seats. Here's a quick look at visibility from the back seats. Now I do have that headrest folded down just to give you a little bit more visibility if you don't have a backseat passenger. There's even some storage pockets behind both front seats, and we can get a look at that full moonroof from these back seats. Definitely provides a lot of light. So it's a little bit crammed, but it is usable on a daily basis. Now for the front seats, the door panels finished off just like the rear. However, this has the addition of the memory seating adjustments as well as the easy access, which you can turn on and off. All of the window controls, side mirror adjustments, power folding adjustments too. A lot more storage space in the lower section. And on the driver's side, on the back section, this is how you can open and close the power liftgate just by pushing on that dial. You can even adjust if you want the power operation off. You want this to open up 3/4 of the way or all of the way. And there's even a little bit of storage space just above that, which is great to see. Now these front seats are automatic, so all of those adjustments are down on the side. There's the Cadillac badge right in the middle with a nice design just like the rear seats. And again, very easy to enter these front seats. It's a low car, so it's really not that high off the ground. Door opens up very wide too. And for the steering wheel, it's finished off in a combination of solid leather with perforated leather on the sides. Over on this left side, this is all the adaptive cruise and cruise control adjustments with the distance pacing and the voice commands and Bluetooth. On this right side, all of these are for the center gauge cluster as well as volume and tuning for the radio. This even has steering wheel mounted paddle shifters, which are finished off in black. But let's fire this back up. With my foot on the brake, that button is over on the right side, and we can bring this back to life. And looking at this gauge cluster now, on the left side is the tach, on the right side is the miles per hour, and then right in the middle, there's some fixed information on the top, like miles per hour, speed limit sign, there's the time and the compass, and below that, you can go through a lot more information. Currently, it's just showing a blank page. If I scroll up again, you can look at fuel economy, even the tire pressure, and some other vitals, just depending on what you'd like to see. There's trip information too. I can scroll over to music, pull up the navigation when that's on and running, along with the phone when that is paired. And then there's some different settings to go into. You can look at all of this, even configure the heads-up display, just depending on what you need to see. So not a whole lot of information, but definitely everything that you need to see on a daily basis. And then over on the left side of the steering wheel is the electronic parking brake, along with a dimmer switch for the gauges, and the 3 buttons on the right side are for the heads-up display. So hopefully you can see right now, currently it's showing the radio as well as miles per hour. If I click on info, we can scroll through and look at the compass as well as miles per hour, pull up the tach if you just want to see that, or just have the miles per hour by itself. So it's configurable just depending on what you'd like to see and all the other adjustments. There's 1 air vent, more of that trim, and even more leather. One of the speakers for the Bose audio is right in the base of that A-pillar. It's also over on the passenger side. And right in the middle, there are 2 air vents above this 8-inch touchscreen system, where you can go through a lot more info. If I click on home, you can pull up a lot of icons like Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, go into the navigation, different settings. If I swipe over, there's my Cadillac and a few other icons that you can go into. If I swipe all the way over to this screen, this is a split screen with the navigation on one side, phone and audio on the other. And in the lower section, there are shortcuts to climate controls, navigation, phone, and music. On the climates here, there's the temperature adjustment where you like the air to go. You can sync this dual zone system, even adjust the fan speed. So it's really quick to get to all of that. There's even another home dial right in the middle, so if you aren't on this page, you can quickly get back to it if needed. And then working our way below that with these row of toggles that have a great design to them. On this left side is how you can turn on and off the climates. There's auto, where you like the air to go. On the passenger side is syncing along with the max defrosters. And right in the middle are the temperature adjustments as well as the fan speed, so you can quickly monitor those with that small LCD screen. And then just below that, there's another row where there's the heated and ventilated seats. This is the parallel parking feature. So in order to activate that, you do have to have the vehicle into drive. And if I push on that, these are all the adjustments that you have for that. So in order to activate it, you do have to put on your turn signal, and then you have parallel and perpendicular parking, and then it will tell you if it's on the left side or the right side. You do have a departure too, so once you are in, you can click on that to help you get out if needed. So it is a great system to have. Now the hazards are right in the middle. There's the lane keeping assist, and then the heated and ventilated seat controls for the passenger. This even has a small hidden compartment underneath where there's even more auxiliaries where you can charge electronics and store them if you need to. I can push on that and it will automatically close. Now coming back to the shifter, in order to get this out of park, the release is located on this left side. If I push this forwards, this is for the backup camera. So you will see all the different angles depending on what you'd like to see. It is a great system to have. With the amount of visibility, even looking at the side cameras, you can look at that and you can pull up everything in full screen if you don't want that top-down view to give you a little bit more visibility. And then park is on the top. You can also put this into the manual setting just by pulling it back without the release if you need to use those steering wheel mounted paddle shifters. There are 2 cup holders to the right of that. And then just behind the shifter, there's even more controls for that center screen. So it is a touchscreen system, or you can use this rotary dial. There's shortcuts to navigation, music, back, and even phone. So if I click on navigation, you can quickly get there. And then in front of that is volume and power for the radio, as well as tuning on both sides. So it's great to have that. If you don't want to reach for the screen, you can quickly get to those adjustments. Now behind that, there's traction control, the engine start stop feature, and the last one is the different driving modes. So this has a touring mode. There's also all-wheel drive, sport, and an off-road setting. Now it will go between 2-wheel drive or all-wheel drive depending on the driving mode too. So that way you can get the power that you need or the traction that you need. Now right in the middle, we have the leather wrapped armrest. There's a little bit of storage space in this removable tray. If you remove that, there's a 12-volt and a deep compartment where you can place some items. And in the front section is the hidden wireless charger. So I love that you can get great access to this when the armrest is open. You can even slide in and out your phone with it closed. It is a great use of space and nicely hidden out of the way. Now over on the passenger side, there's the glove box with plenty of room for all of that information, along with the wood trim and more leather. We'll take another look at this interior, which has a great design to it. Like I mentioned earlier, with the full moonroof that is currently open at the moment, the adjustment for that is right in the middle. So if I push on that, it will automatically close all of the way. There are the adjustments for the sunroof too, so you can push on those to further open it up. On the back section is the sunglass holder, so that is really convenient to have. The dome lights are on both sides. There's even some call buttons. And right in the middle is the camera system that I showed earlier underneath that spoiler. If I flip that down, this is the normal or traditional rear view mirror. And then there's the camera system. You can zoom in and out, even go up and down, just depending on the additional visibility that you need. All right, so as we get this 2022 Cadillac XT4 out on the road, I've had this about a week now, so I have a good amount of seat time behind the wheel. And I think this is a pretty cool, smaller size SUV from Cadillac. This would make for a great daily. If you don't have a lot of larger items, it's a little bit crammed on this interior, especially for your backseat passengers, but it's definitely doable. You could absolutely make this a daily. Plenty of room in the back, as you've already seen, along with underneath the cargo floor. So you could drive this every single day. I have a good bit of miles on this one, and it's been a very comfortable vehicle. I've had it out on the highway, on back roads, like you see me on right now, and I don't really have any complaints with it. The only thing that I will say is this center screen took me a little bit of time to get used to with how angled back it is, but I kind of noticed that maybe it's designed that way for the air vents above it to be functional. There have been some vehicles that I've seen where the center infotainment system kind of hinders where those center air vents need to be placed. So I can see with the design of it having the two above it, and it hasn't taken me that many days or that much time to get used to how far back it is. You really don't hear any road noise or wind noise, especially doing 70 miles an hour out on the highway. It's very composed feeling for this SUV, so I really like that. Now let's pop it into the manual setting. We do have that smaller 2-liter engine. but I mean, it still has some power to it. Don't expect this to be a 0 to 60 vehicle, but it gets up and moves. I will say the paddles aren't the most responsive. This isn't geared towards being performance oriented, but if you do need to use these, if you need to downshift, get a little bit more power going, if you need to pass or something like that, they are functional. And then as far as visibility goes, this is really easy to see all around. I like that while it has kind of a boxy design to it, we have a large C-pillar in the back. I can see around that bulge over my right shoulder there, really not all that bulky. I can look out of my left shoulder. And as we switch over to the POV angle, you can see what it's like to be behind the wheel of this XT4. So I'm gonna pop it into the manual setting now, and using that button, we will go to sport mode. Now there is an off-road mode if you need to take this on gravel or any type of situation like that. You have the all-wheel drive system, so it can configure all of that power for you. But with these paddles, we will go all the way into second gear, and this will be a pedal to the floor acceleration. So here we go. Like I mentioned earlier, not the most responsive. It kind of got caught up near a red line there. So you do have to activate those a little bit quicker than I'm used to in some more sport-oriented vehicles. And I will say one other thing that I wasn't a huge fan of is how high this windowsill is. So I'm really not used to being in an SUV, but feeling kind of like I'm in a sports car. This is a very high place to rest your arms, so it's really not all that comfortable. For people who like to do that, have their hand out the window, you know, when the window is down, it is very high. Now, of course, you could adjust the seat height, but I have around 2 or 3 inches above my head right now, so I wouldn't really want to go any higher, so that way I still have comfortable headroom. So that is a little bit high. It's odd to get used to, kind of feeling sunken down in an SUV, so it kind of gives you that car vibe, but it does also make it easier to enter and exit, so that way obviously you can get in and out much easier. And even bumps like that, it rides very nicely. So this would be a great daily driver. We have a lot of tech, pretty much everything that you need to make this a comfortable daily. But that is going to wrap it up for this walk around review and test drive behind the wheel of the 2022 Cadillac XT4 all-wheel drive Sport. If you enjoyed today's review, give it a huge thumbs up. Consider smashing that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our daily uploads. And I will see you all in the next video.